seriously muted? Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome in.
Hello.
Muted. Salty. Did you mute yourself? Because I don't remember muting myself, but when I came in, we were muted.
I do. I come in muted. Well, I went to walk out back, and the dog just started barking her tail off at this. We got this huge predator type looking cat thing creeping around the property lately, and like I come out the back door, and she spotted it, and then yes, I muted real quick, so I didn't want you to hear the dog raising hell.
Yeah,
I've been trying to find this predator for a while.
All right. So happy hump day, everybody. It's Wednesday. It's halfway through the work week for most people.
I just finished a big bowl of chili. My son made homemade chili for dinner, and it was so good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's like been super cold in Florida, so I've been freezing and not happy about it at all. But tonight, I wanted chili tonight. So
nice. Good job, Mom. Teaching him that stuff. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. He throws down with chili. He loves it.
So I got to play us a happy hump day commercial here. Everybody hang on for 30 seconds.
Oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on. I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-woo!
Ronnie, how happy are folks who save hundreds of dollars switching to Geico? I'd say happier than a camel on Wednesday.
Hump day!
Get happy. Get Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
I don't care for Geico, but that commercial cracks me up.
The commercials always crack me up because there's like little subtle things you may not catch unless you're paying attention. And they just, I don't know, I love a good commercial that makes me laugh.
Yeah. And the ones that aren't subtle usually crack me up more than the ones that are. Like that was not subtle. And that old Kmart commercial, I'm going to ship my pants. Kmart Ship My Pants was one of the best ad campaigns ever. And I don't know how that ad campaign didn't save that company, but it didn't. So we don't have those commercials anymore, but those always cracked me up. I can ship my pants. Yeah, I can ship my pants today.
Yeah, my grandma loved shopping at Kmart. Never missed a blue light special.
Yeah, when I was in elementary school, I mean, I grew up in a house with a lot of kids. There were 6 of us. So my parents did a lot of shopping at Kmart blue light specials.
Oh, yeah. Like my grandma lived for that. Like they used to have a little cafeteria like in the store. And my grandpa would go back there and sit and drink coffee, and you could smoke in the stores back then. And he rolled his own cigarettes. So he'd go back there and just smoke cigarettes and drink coffee while Granny just shopped her ass off for hours. Wherever that blue light was, that's where we knew she was going to be there.
Those submarine sandwiches in the Kmart delis were freaking awesome. Like they were better than Subway sandwiches are today.
Oh, now.
Sliced onions, sliced green peppers. Deli meat. Those were good sandwiches, and you could walk there with your friend. This was before I had a driver's license. We used to walk there from his house and get those sub sandwiches for like $2.50. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah. It's all good stuff. Hello, Kelt. How are you?
So tomorrow morning, I'm headed back to downtown Phoenix for the Maricopa Superior Court hearing of Dr. Zhu.
I was saying Zoo when I was in my head. I'm calling him Dr. Zoo, and I'm like, what's going on here? So,
I actually have. So I Googled it, and Dr. Google is going to help us pronounce this.
Okay.
Let me share this screen.
Oh, you got the fancy mic with the lights on it.
I do. It's a lit mic now. I have a decent mic. Hopefully it sounds good as well as being lit up.
It does. It does. It sounds good.
Good deal. And hopefully my new camera looks pretty decent too. That
Oh
says
yeah.
nothing about me. It's the camera quality.
The camera's working fine.
Pronunciation. Here we go. Let's listen to this. This is Mandarin. So Dr. Zhu is from China. He got his undergraduate and his first master's degree from China. We'll find out here in a minute when we look at his CV, his curriculum vitae or vitae or however the hell you pronounce that. That's like Vordaer. Different people pronounce it different ways. But this is how you pronounce his last name according to Mr. Google. Zhuo. Zhuo.
Okay.
So you can say jour. It's kind of like the French bonjour, except you like
Yeah.
stop at the very beginning of the R. It's like jour.
Okay. Well, I'll have to practice that one. I'll have to
I'm
practice.
fascinated. Yeah, I'm fascinated by other languages. I speak Spanish fairly fluently, not 100% fluently, but I like to give ethnical and cultural credit, and I like to try and pronounce it how they pronounce it. Like, despite the fact that this guy has done something horrendous and he did it in front of his kids, has nothing to do with the fact that I just want to pronounce that name, that word correctly. Like, that's also
yeah.
his kid's name. That's also his kid's name. So let's say their name correctly. Jour.
Jour. Okay. So yeah, I hadn't heard of this case, so.
Yeah, it's not a hugely popular case across the country. I mean, we've all heard of obviously the healthcare CEO killing.
Goodness, we can't get away from it.
I try to get away from it, and I can't.
Good luck. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's broke Twitter. It's about broke me from looking at all of the different things, and it's like brain overload. It's like no matter I get the guy feels he was justified. People want to call him a folk hero and all these things, but it's like where's that line we cross? We don't like the government crossing lines. Should we be crossing lines? All that kind of good stuff. But
Right.
I get the frustration. We Americans have complained for years and years and years about healthcare, and nothing is done about it. It just continued to skyrocket and make them wealthier. And I think all of us are fed up with it. And, and would this cause or force change now? I don't know.
No, it's not going to force any change in the healthcare system because it's systemically embedded in our system. And damn it, don't get me started down this path. But
oh no, I don't. Yeah, I'm not.
I'm a single adult, and I pay $500 a month for healthcare insurance for one single adult. I mean, that's just, when I had a house full of 4 boys and a wife that I was paying insurance for, it was like $800 a month, 15, 16 years ago. I mean, there's just $500 a month for a single male adult with very little healthcare problem history is just insane to me. So I understand the frustration, but I don't understand unaliving somebody out of that frustration. And I don't think that unaliving somebody is going to change it one little bit.
Doubtful, but we all know there needs to be change. I agree, 857. They're like way overpaid. And it literally took me 2 years to get doctors to listen to me when I had autoimmune disease. Actually, it took longer than that. My mom longer than that. So I wasn't playing with my son when he got sick. And it took me a year, though, to convince them that something was wrong with my child. And lo and behold, he has the same autoimmune, disease. But it took forever to get into the specialist. We all know how that goes. It's just a crazy game that we all feel like they're playing with us. And they need to start looking at it for real, though. And quit using it as talking points in this political stuff. You know what I mean? They want to come out each side. We're going to do this and we're going to do that, which we all know they're not doing anything. They're just lining their pockets with, the lobbyists who work for the insurance companies come in hot with all this money and we'll fund your campaigns and we'll do this. Y'all just don't do nothing to us. And they're like, okay, cool. And that's the way I see it.
Yep. 100%. Until we deal with Congress, both houses of Congress, with term limits and limiting dark money contributions, nothing's going to change. Insurance, big pharma, agriculture, none of that, none of the problems that actually affect us on a daily basis are going to change until we deal with term limits and dark money.
Well, with the greed is going to be America's downfall.
Yeah.
There's a lot of greed in this country, and there's a lot of disconnect with the real people of the country. And that I'm so turned off by politics across the damn board with all of them. You know what I mean? I just can't eat with any of them. But, this is stuff that really affects every American in their homes. When you have somebody sick and you can't get these tests done, or insurance companies are saying, oh, well, you've got to have this and you got to meet certain criteria. It's crazy insane anymore. But like I said, I get it. But yeah, you just can't go unaliving people because there's a price to pay for that.
Well, there's a price to pay, and I don't know that it's really going to change anything.
Mm-mm. Well, and then you get the weird stuff coming on the internet. Is he framed? Is he really the guy? Is he all these things? It's like, come on, every case is not going to be Delphi. It's just not. I don't know what's the truth with that case anymore. I'm not even trying to follow it, but it's all over my Twitter feed. Like I can't escape it. Like today every time I got on Twitter, that's all I was seeing. Until about an hour ago when I realized Hannah Kobashi finally contacted her family. I was like, well, damn, a little too late, honey, but okay. Too late.
That's another weird one. So we have like 2 cases in a row that are hugely viral. Like they just go viral all over the place, and they're just weird. They're just really weird cases. And this is a weird case, but I think we're going to find out as we delve into these documents and into these articles that it's basically just a case of a toxic relationship. Like he and his wife had a toxic relationship. They came from China. They have 2 kids that are like, I think 14 and 19-ish, which is about the time that they came over to America. So it's not nearly as odd. And I'm going to go down to the Maricopa Superior Court tomorrow. And if his hearing goes off as scheduled, then I'll sit in on that and I'll give us some thoughts afterward. But it's not as odd of a case. So that's kind of why I wanted to get into it. Just like give us something else to look at. And
not every important case is going to be like trendy, in Twitter world and YouTube, and but they all deserve attention, especially I consume all kinds of true crime. So I watch all kinds of stories. I'm not just interested in what's trending cases, you know what I mean? And sometimes those trending cases turn me off a little bit because all the icky that comes with it, because people can't help themselves. But it's like I try to stick to the facts of the cases. I'm willing to go down rabbit holes, and you know that, and we've sent you down a couple too, and you've seen how deep some of them can go. And it's it's okay to do all that, but not every single case is going to be such a viral case or top of the list on true crime to cover.
Right. And honestly, if it's too viral, you run the risk, and I think we have in that CEO in the Luigi case, you run the risk of getting a whole bunch of misinformation out there. Like
exactly.
People will jump on that shit and they will throw stuff out there just for the clicks and the views and the likes. And then we find out that we went down a rabbit hole and landed on our head because it wasn't really a rabbit hole. It wasn't a true rabbit hole.
Exactly. And and with so much coming out so fast and trying to decipher what's real and what isn't, and everybody putting their 2 cents in, it's like, yeah, I just don't even want to look at, like, I don't know. It's like kind of like Karen Reed. I watched from afar. Like, I never wanted to jump into that one head first. There was just way too many cops and there was way too much going on with it. And plus I was doing Delphi so hard then, and I don't know. It's just some of these cases I saw it in Idaho 4, with all the bizarre stuff that was coming along with that. And it's like, yeah, no, I'm going to stick to the documents on that one. So
Yeah.
I'll
I
follow
think this
Ann
is a
Taylor's
pretty
lead.
right. I think this is a pretty clear-cut case here. And 857, do you think he'll plead insane? That's not the angle he took at first. And we'll find out what his defense was, which doesn't make any sense to the person with common sense, but we'll figure it out here in a second. Let's watch this video from Fox 10. And by the way, Fox 10 was in the courtroom with me at Lori Vallow Daybell's hearings last week. So it'll be interesting to see if they're there in the morning for this. I'm digging Fox 10. I'm starting to like them. They seem to cover a lot of the local stories a lot more than the other networks. And Phoenix is the 5th largest metropolis in the U.S. They're like behind
Yeah.
Chicago and New York and L.A. And I'm not sure what the other one is that is ahead of them, but Phoenix is the 5th largest metropolis in the U.S. So there honestly should be more coverage of these cases that are going on in the Maricopa Superior Court.
Well, and I used to watch, I don't know if it was Lockup or what it was, but I knew that for a long time I've known that Maricopa County Jail is one of the largest jails, and they has a lot of inmates, so there's a lot of stuff going on there, and there was always interesting cases coming out of there. I've watched many of them, like on Dateline, 48 Hours, different things like that. A lot of different shows I consume that have true crime stories, but there's always a lot of interesting cases in Maricopa County.
Yeah, and that's where Lori Vallow Daybell is right now, and that's where David Zhu is. And actually, that's not his native name. I'll cover his CV later, but let's watch this. Quick episode this quick case coverage from Fox 10.
News at noon. An ASU professor behind bars this afternoon, accused of shooting and killing his wife.
Fox 10's Lauren Clark joining us live in Scottsdale to share more about his background at the university. Lauren, what are you learning?
Hey there, good afternoon, you guys. According to his bio on ASU's website, he is a teacher of business at ASU and has been there since 2009. According to his resume, he has taught classes like risk management and is also quoted in publications like the Wall Street Journal, BBC, and Forbes. Now he's accused of killing his wife. Now, this started on Saturday, according to Scottsdale police officers. They say a man later identified as 47-year-old David Shu called 911 and said he shot his wife. Investigators learned the couple's 19-year-old daughter and 14-year-old son were inside the home at the time. Court paperwork says the son climbed over a back wall to try to get help from neighbors. Officers arrived to broken glass, liquid on the floor, and a shotgun blast in the wall of the home. They also found a woman lying on the floor with a gunshot wound to her back. Shu's wife later died at the hospital. Her name has not been released. Once in custody, police documents say Zhu claimed he was trying to shoot the wall behind her. Those same documents also describe what children told detectives, stating there was a history of domestic violence inside the home and that neither was surprised that this happened. A judge set his bond at $1 million, cash only.
Whoa, wait, what did the kids say? They said
they weren't surprised.
Whoa.
So
you're
they've
not
lived
surprised
in
that you're oh my gosh.
That means those kids
have
been those kids have been exposed to their abusive situation for years.
I got to replay that because that is huge.
Bond at $1 million, cash only.
Not to return to the scene
I
of the
didn't go back.
alleged crime.
Trying to shoot the wall behind her. Those same documents also describe what children told detectives, stating there was a history of domestic violence inside the home and that neither was surprised that this happened. A judge.
Wow. That is so sad. That is so sad.
It really is. It really is. I mean, the adults are super messy a lot of times, and they don't think about how things will affect their children.
Yeah.
And these
So,
kids have probably witnessed years of abuse between,
yeah.
whichever one was the aggressor there, but he shot her in the back and was trying to shoot the wall behind her. How do you just explain that to me? I mean, crime scene 101 here.
No.
You shot her in the back, so the wall behind her. No, that don't make any sense, dude.
No. She was trying to turn around to run away. And
Yeah.
you shot her in the back. And then the police showed up and you're like, oh, I was just trying to shoot the wall behind her. That
Well, then you would have shot her in her.
Either.
And if you're trying to shoot the wall behind her, then you're going to hit her in the front of her body, not in her back. And, cowards shoot people in the back as they're trying to get away.
And that's what this guy seems to be.
Wow.
And the generational damage that was done to the children cannot be emphasized enough.
Oh my God. Yes. You're right. Because a lot of times those things repeat themselves, you know what I mean? Through until somebody puts a stop to it or removes the kids from that type of situation. It can be done. Then they're done that. I'll just say that. There's no way my kids were going to grow up and think any of that was ever acceptable or okay. Ever. And the kid, and then the child tried to go out and get, help from the neighbors. They're lucky. I mean, a lot of times in those kind of heated situations, he could have easily turned that gun toward his children and on himself.
857. This was back in the spring. It was I think back in March or April when this happened. Let me see what the date of this report was. August. Okay. So it was recent. So not like last spring, but not like last month. So around August is when this happened.
Does he have court-appointed attorneys, or does he have paid attorneys, or do we know?
I'm 100% sure that he has private attorneys because of his
financials. He didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
He didn't qualify for it.
Right. We will take a look at the indictment here in a minute, and then we'll take a look. So he was indicted, he was arrested, and he was given a $1 million bond. And then he filed a motion. His attorneys filed a motion to modify that bond in the terms of release. So we'll take a look at that here in a second. But I'm 99.999% sure that he has private attorneys because of his financial situation. Oh, come on, play this. There we go.
Cash only.
Not to return to
Say that one more time. Say that one more time. Hold on. Back up.
Only.
Not to return.
Judge set his bond at $1 million
cash only. Judge set his bond at $1 million cash. That means he can't secure that with $100,000 security.
Or witnesses or have any physical contact with any alleged victims. You're not to possess any weapons.
Okay, so when a judge says you can't have any contact with any alleged victims, I wonder, and 857 has a live court feed from Tucson's from Pima County Court, I think, most nights, if not every night. And we always, gamble on what's the highest bond set. But $1 million cash bond means that you can't secure that with $100,000 security. You've actually literally got to have $1 million. Although I think bondsmen maybe will give you $1 million bond with 10% security. So
I'm pretty sure that Brooks Houck had the same type of bond, $1 million. over in the Crystal Rogers case. So it's not unheard of.
And Shu is currently facing a first-degree murder charge, and he is expected back in court on Friday. We'll be continuing to cover this story throughout the rest of the afternoon. Reporting live here in Scottsdale, Lauren Clark, Fox 10 News.
So sad and crazy. Just what a crazy mess. I mean, and we talked about this earlier offline. I mean, it's the same thing with Lori and Chad Daybell. Hold on. Shoot. If you have a toxic relationship with your spouse, what is wrong with leaving your spouse and getting a divorce? I mean, I understand that some people feel trapped, and that is a horrible situation to be in, but isn't divorce a better option than murder?
Yeah, you would think so. And there's just so many many situations. So. Yeah, I mean, there's so many situations where they stay for years and years and years. And, you know, you hear of 60, 70-year-old couples finally getting enough of it, and one shoots the other. And they're like, after, 30 years of domestic violence, this and that, and it's, I know it's hard to understand why some don't ever leave. I can get why they don't, but at the same time, being somebody who's been in that position, you can absolutely walk away, and a lot of times though, if you got a guy that is willing to walk through restraining orders, there's no protection sometimes. It really probably depends on, each situation is so different, you know what I mean, as to what they will actually do and won't do, if it's a lot of talk or not talk, or it's a scary situation. And then, like, the 857 says here, their culture is way different. So you got to take that into account as well. I mean, even though they may have been here for years, they still have their culture embedded in them.
Right. Absolutely. And I do believe very strongly that our cultural influences can make us do things that don't make sense at times. And the Mormon thing is similar with Lori and Chad Daybell, because Mormons do not believe in divorce.
No.
She has dead husbands. So do Mormons believe in murder before divorce? No.
Well, Lori and Chad did.
Yes.
They felt that was justified. We can just call them zombies and say we did it because they were, had been taken over by zombies, and we're doing it for religious reasons now. It's crazy what people could justify in their heads,
Yeah.
And a lot of, in a lot of the domestic violence situations, you get, you're mine and nobody else will ever have you. And how dare you walk away on me, and all these different things that come into play. There's been just so many stories over the years. And, there was a time in this country where domestic violence wasn't talked about. It was acceptable. If your husband beat you, then you just need to be a good little wife and not cause trouble. And that's not always, I mean, there's so many things that could set these guys off, little things, and it shouldn't be like that. You should be equals regardless. And there are just as many women out there who do domestic violence as there are men. There really are. I feel like the men are more violent sometimes, though, or it's more prevalent with men for some reason.
Yeah, I do know it does go both ways at times. I mean, we just saw the case of Sarah Boone with Jorge Torres, and
oh Lord, when you mix alcohol in the mix with a bunch of people who like to fight, I mean, that's all they're gonna do is, I'll be nice. There's a couple of words I say because, like, you just, what do? You just get drunk, have sex, and you do it again, and you fight, and you just get drunk, have sex, and fight. Like, that's like your thing. Like, stop it. That's so gross.
Yeah.
It's messy adults, and their little children sitting there witnessing all of that. It's crazy.
Right. Because that's what having sex produces most of the time, right? Is children. And So actually, I'm presenting. This is the indictment right here for David Zhu from the state of Arizona. So let's go ahead and go through this. I was going to pull up a couple of other things because his actual real name isn't David. That's his Americanized name.
He changed his name when he got over here?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. I'll pull up that real quick. I'll pull up his CV, his curriculum vitae or vitae or whatever. That may not actually say his name on it. The title of the document is his real name. Yes, it's Hong Quan. And you can't see it on here. That's funny. The name of the document is Hong Quan, HONGQUAN, in parentheses, David Zhu.
Okay.
So academic positions, let's go back to the first one, assistant professor of management at ASU, Tempe. All of this is his state stuff, but education before that. So he got his master's and so he got a BS in chemistry in 99 from Nankai University in China. And then he got his master's in economics, which is kind of a weird combination, but it is what it is. And then he came over to the States. So sometime between 2002 and 2009, he and his family came over to the States. And he got his PhD in strategy from the University of Michigan. A PhD in strategy. I have no idea what that means. Like, I don't even know what that class structure would look like. But anyway, publications, he did something in 2022, Too Much on a Plate, How Executive Job Demands Harm Firm Innovation and Reduce Share of Exploratory Innovations. Really interesting stuff. Like, this guy was super smart. He was obviously super smart. Selected working papers. He has a whole list of those. Referred best paper proceedings. I'm not an academic, so I don't know what best paper proceedings mean, but I assume since he has it on his CV that it's impressive to somebody. Invited articles and book chapters. Teaching courses at W.P. Carey School of Business, Arizona State University. So that's where he's been teaching. He's been teaching at the W.P. Carey School of Business. Like, I'm from West Lafayette, Indiana, so I know all about the Cranert School of Management at Purdue University, which has got to be very similar to this Carey School of Business. And then PhD student supervision. He has supervised 8 or 9 PhD students. DBA student supervision. I'm not sure what DBA is. Something academic. Dissertation co-chair for currently enrolled students. Service, organization science, senior editor, management and organization review, editorial board member, ad hoc reviewer, strategic management society. So this guy is like super smart. He's super smart. Hold on. Got to decline that call. Selected honors and rewards. This is probably important. National Science Foundation of China research grant for overseas scholars. So he's probably still a Chinese citizen at this point. He's probably not even a U.S. citizen. Senior fellow on sabbatical, Wharton School of Business, 2018, visiting associate professor on sabbatical, visiting associate professor on sabbatical, honored professor, School of Management, honored professor, Dongbei University of Finance and Economics, co-winner of the William H. Newman Award for the best paper based on a dissertation. Holy cow. This is like making my head swim. So much academics, so much academia. He shot his wife in the back twice and claimed to the cops that he was trying to shoot the wall behind her.
He shot her twice?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, damn it. I leaked information before I got to that. Recent
How
media
dare you?
coverage.
How dare you leak information on YouTube? It's not allowed ever.
Recent media coverage. I guarantee this doesn't cover Fox 10's hearings on his or Fox 10's news coverage of him. Amazon wanted a Lord of the Rings show. It turned to Frodo and Sam. What the? Whew. Maybe this guy's too smart. I mean, can you be too smart? Amazon wanted a Lord of the Rings show. It turned to Frodo and Sam. That is just a crazy title for some type of an article on media. And then CEOs with unusual names. He has unusual name. Okay. How your name affects your personality. Why atypical CEOs have an edge. Forbes. So he was listed. He was listed in an article on Forbes, BBC Future, Harvard Business Review, and Wall Street Journal. He was mentioned in those articles. How crazy is that? Academic conference, invited persons, blah, 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 blah. Holy mackerel, 42 of those. So this guy was super smart. He is super smart. And his wife is dead. Let's look at the probable cause affidavit. That's where I want to go next. 857, Purdue University also hires and takes in a lot of Chinese students. They hire a lot of Chinese professors, and they take in a lot of Chinese students. It's a culture at Purdue University, and it's a welcome culture. I mostly welcome it because I love eating Chinese food. And if you have a lot of Chinese students and a few Chinese professors, usually you can find a good Chinese restaurant in a town, and West Lafayette is one of those. There are a couple of really good Chinese restaurants. All right, let's see if this is no, that's the motion to modify again. Damn it. Let's do the other one. Same one again. Now I know what not to share. Here we go. Here is the indictment. And this was a grand jury indictment, I believe, out of Maricopa Superior Court. Indictment 875, GJ 593. Count 1, David Hongquan-Zhu. Okay, there's his name. There's his his Chinese name, Hongquan-Zhu, on or about August 17th, without premeditation, intentionally did cause the death of Susan Yixuan Yan, and or knowing that its contact could cause death or serious physical injury, caused the death of her, and under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to human life, recklessly engaged in conduct which created a grave risk of death and thereby cause of death to her. State alleges the offense charged in this count is a dangerous felony because the offense involved the discharge, use, or threatening exhibition of a shotgun, a deadly weapon or dangerous instrument. Count 2, David Hongquan-Zhu, on about August 17th, intentionally or knowingly did disturb the peace or quiet of a neighborhood, family, or person by recklessly handling, displaying, or discharging a shotgun. The offense charged is a dangerous felony. Okay, so he got charged with count 1, death of his wife. There's nothing in there that talks about her getting shot in the back twice, but I'm pretty sure I saw that in another document. So let's take a look at that. All right. Present, share screen. Nope, that's the same one I just did. Here we go. So he got held over on $1 million bond, and his attorneys, Tate and Hall, PLLC, 4455 East Camelback Road, Suite 250, Phoenix, Arizona. Those are definitely private attorneys. Those are not public defenders. Filed a motion to modify release conditions pursuant to Rule 7.4C, the Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure. Defendant David Zhu, by and through undersigned counsel, hereby request the court modify his release conditions, specifically his bond that is currently set at $1 million cash. Defense respectfully requests the bond be set at $150,000 with an ankle monitor and the pretrial services monitoring. We hear that all the time, 857, don't we? Pretrial services monitoring. You are hereby released to pretrial services. I don't think that's cutting it here. This request is supported by the following memorandum of points and authorities. Facts. Memorandum of points and authority. Number one, facts. Mr. Zhu has one pending felony matter before the court for second-degree murder, a Class 1 dangerous felony, and 2 disorderly conduct, a Class 6 dangerous felony. The following facts are derived from the Form 4 and other discovery defense has reviewed thus far on August 17th. At approximately 6:33 p.m., officers were dispatched to a call reporting a shooting in Scottsdale. The 911 caller identified Mr. Zhu, reported he has shot his wife, Susan Yan, in the back. Mr. Zhu told the 911 operator that it was a misfire and begged for help. It was a misfire. Okay, if you're trying to shoot the wall behind her, you're not misfiring. Your story's all over the place, dude.
Exactly.
Your story is all over the place.
How many times is he gonna change that story, I reckon?
He told 911 it was a misfire. He begged for help. Dispatchers gave instructions for CPR, and he audibly attempted to revive his wife, who he had just shot.
Audibly attempted, so they don't know if he actually attempted or not.
Right. No, you can't tell because you're on the phone. You're not on a video call, so you don't know if he's actually trying to give CPR. Around the same time, this is the heartbreaking part because this is his son climbing over the wall in the backyard to go get help. 911 received another call referencing the same incident from a neighbor, John Linio. Mr. Linio reported that Mr. Zhu's son, Jason, knocked on his door asking for help after hearing shots fired in shots, not a shot, shots. This is important. Fired inside the home. Jason, who was in his bedroom when the incident occurred, exited the house through his bedroom window after hearing the shots, plural. Officers arrived on scene and contacted Mr. Zhu and his 19-year-old daughter, Sunny, who was in her bedroom at the time of the incident. Officers entered the house, and found Mrs. Yan lying face up on the floor in the hallway in her own blood. Lying face up.
Face up. After being shot in the back, she didn't fall face down. He flipped her over. Well, you'd have to flip her over if you're going to attempt CPR.
Right. True. Very true.
And the kids were probably hiding out in the bedroom while mom and dad were fighting again.
Yep. Officers rolled Ms. Yan on her side to determine where she was injured and observed an apparent single gunshot wound located in her upper back. Officers, I could swear that there's 2 gunshot wounds in her back, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misread something somewhere. Officers began with life-saving measures, and Ms. Yan was eventually transported to the hospital, where she was eventually pronounced dead by medical staff. Officers contacted the children, Jason and Sonny, both of whom had been present at the time of the incident, but did not witness the shooting when it occurred. When officers spoke to them, both indicated that they heard a verbal argument between their parents prior to the gunshots. So there were gunshots. There was more than one. I'm telling you, I think she was shot twice. I could be wrong. Law enforcement obtained a search warrant and subsequently searched the house. Inside, officers observed the pattern of a gunshot buckshot blast. Buckshot. Buckshot is intended to take down 150 to 200 pound deer. That's what buckshot is for.
Yep.
Buckshot is not birdshot. Buckshot is fatal.
No, and my dad's an avid deer hunter, so that you're not playing around when you use those.
No, and if he had a shotgun for self-defense in the home, buckshot's not a bad way to go with your ammo in that shotgun. But you have to know when you pull that shotgun out and you fire it at the quote-unquote wall behind your wife, she gonna die.
Yeah, it's not like you're using your handgun for protection. You're talking about now you got a shotgun, like
with buckshot, with big old pellets in it, like big old lead balls. Law enforcement obtained a search warrant and subsequently searched the house. Inside, officers observed the pattern of a shotgun buckshot blast in the drywall and a few holes from a shotgun blast on a bathroom door. Okay, so there's multiple shots. There's the drywall and there's the bathroom door. Officers also know he didn't fire it just once.
No, he absolutely meant to do what he was doing.
Yeah.
The moment or not, he meant it.
He was unaliving her. He intended fully to unalive her. And anybody that says anything different, including him and his attorneys, are just lying.
And there's going to be some weirdos on Twitter saying he was justified. Come on.
Come at me, bro. Come at me with that. Yeah, right. Come at me with that. He shot a shotgun with buckshot twice at his wife. He did not want her to live anymore. This story just gets crazier.
He must have had some serious anger issues.
Yeah.
To the point where you just go, like, I'm going to ruin my whole life and the kid's life and kill her, and then I don't even care. And now you're going to come out and say it was a misfire. Dude, why did you even have your shotgun out? I mean, was there an intruder coming in the door? Did a deer run across the backyard? Why have the shotgun out for it to misfire in your kitchen or wherever you were? I mean, that makes no sense.
In the hallway, in front of the bathroom door.
Yeah.
Apparently on the scene, Mr. Zhu made excited utterances. So that is a huge legal term right there, excited utterances, because those are admissible in court as not being hearsay. That is a hearsay exception. Excited utterances are a hearsay exception. So it's very interesting that the indictment uses that wording, because obviously they plan to use that against him in court. And why not? To his daughter that it was an accident. He didn't mean to. Mr. Zhu was arrested and transported to the station where he was read his Miranda rights. Line 13, Mr. Zhu invoked and did not make any further statements. Mr. Zhu was booked on one count of first-degree murder, premeditated. Whoa. So that changed. So it changed from first to second-degree murder sometime in there. And I'm not sure what he's arraigned on right now. I'm going to find out in the morning when I get down there. On August 18th, Mr. Zhu had his initial appearance where the court imposed a $1 million cash bond. On August 22nd, a grand jury indicted him for the current charges, one count of second-degree murder. Okay, so that's why it went from first to second, because that's what the grand jury indicted him on. So he was indicted on second-degree murder by the grand jury, a class 1 dangerous felony, and 1 count disorderly conduct.
I wonder why there was even a grand jury involved with that. I mean, like, it's...
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how it works here in Arizona. Maybe I should find out. Maybe I should go talk to like a prosecutor or something.
Well, I know states are different, but you would think that with this type of case, there wouldn't have needed to be a grand jury involvement. But,
Right.
you know.
Right. Like there was no grand jury involved in Richard Allen's indictment. Like the Liggett produced his probable cause affidavit and took it to the judge, and the judge signed it, and Richard Allen was arrested.
Well, see, and it was different in Idaho because Brian Koberger was set for a preliminary hearing. And before that happened, they had got a grand jury indictment. And I was like, well, why do you need the grand jury indictment when it's pretty much, every state's different though.
We are. Yeah. And I like to figure out our justice system. Like I really want to know what's going on with this stuff.
It's just it's odd how the different states are similar, but have very different ways of going about things. And everybody had a lot of issue with that in Idaho. And I don't blame them. I was the same way. Like we have a preliminary hearing that to avoid that, they went ahead and did a grand jury indictment. It's like, well, why would you need a grand jury indictment? This pretty cut and dry type of evidence. I don't know. It's odd how they, what they decide what needs a grand jury and what doesn't. Now, people speculated in Idaho they did it because, they don't have any evidence against the guy and didn't want to show that at the prelim. So they went and secretly got a grand jury, whatever. But it is very different from different, state to state.
Yeah, it is. And if you don't need a grand jury indictment to charge somebody with these serious crimes, then why would you go to a grand jury to do that and take the chance that they would not find them guilty?
Maybe it was to get a higher charge. I mean, I don't know. Versus, I don't know. I have to look into Arizona. The way they do things there a little more.
Yeah, me too. And maybe I'll try and figure out somebody in the DEA's office that I can interview about that. Because they originally charged him with first-degree murder, and then the grand jury came back and said, no, it's second degree, which definitely is significant. That's significant. Like if you get charged with second instead of first, that changes all of the ramifications.
Yeah. The fact that he was charged and then the grand jury upped the charges. I mean, maybe I don't know. I'd have to look into that more.
The grand jury lowered the charges because the police charged him with first and the grand jury said, no, it's second. Yeah. So that's what he's going to go for his appearance tomorrow for, is on second degree murder.
Odd.
Anyway, all right. Yeah. So this is still the defense's motion. So we're working through the facts of the case as presented by the defense. So this might actually give us insight into how they're going to present it in court eventually. But so line 20, item H, paragraph H, law and argument. The Arizona Constitution contains an explicit prohibition against excessive bail. Makes sense. Protect the prisoners. Arizona rules of criminal procedure make clear that release on one's own recognizance is to be desired, and it is only when the court determines that the release will not reasonably assure the appearance of the defendant that conditions should be imposed. Okay, so they're just saying there are times when a defendant should be released on their own recognizance. Purposes of bail, we don't need to get into that. I may want to someday, but not today. HB. The views of the victim. Defense counsel is unaware of the next of kin's views on the requested modification of release conditions. That's interesting. the nature and circumstances of the offense charged, and the weight of the evidence against the accused. At his initial appearance, Mr. Zhu faced a single count of first-degree murder, but now Mr. Zhu is before the court facing one count of second-degree murder, domestic violence, and one count of disorderly conduct, domestic violence. Notwithstanding the early stages of the case, after reviewing the initial disclosure at the most fundamental level, it is clear the defense is arguing that this was not an intentional or premeditated homicide. The change in charge itself certainly corroborates that distinction, and as discovery continues, counsel expects that this notion will only be reinforced, that it's second-degree murder, not first, not premeditated. Okay, I want to know where his shotgun was. I want to know where the buckshot was, where the shells were with buckshot in them. I want to know where they were arguing and where the shotgun was relative to their argument when he went and got the shotgun and shot her with it.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be put away somewhere, unless he has kept it behind the door, like a lot of.
No,
he's not in the South.
No. Not a professor of economics or whatever it is that he is a professor of at Arizona State. You don't keep a shotgun with buckshot in it behind your door in Tempe, Arizona.
Well, some people will. I don't care how big your education is. You may not be as smart as you think you are. And a dangerous type of person may absolutely, for intimidation reasons, keep that loaded gun right there. Or, it could be turned on you at any time. But when I was raised in a house full of hunting shotguns, my dad did not play with those guns. They were not left around for us to see. And if one was ever loaded, we never knew about it. We were always told they were not loaded. You know what I mean? My dad didn't play with that. Taught us all kinds of safety when it comes to guns. But normally you don't. But there are people who will leave a loaded shotgun behind the door. Now, I'm below the Mason-Dixon line, so maybe that's a little different. But if you're dealing with somebody, in a domestic violence situation, guns don't even need to be in the house. They really just don't need to be there.
Especially in a history.
Exactly.
A toxic relationship.
Yeah. They don't need to be there.
You're right. You're right. Maybe it was behind the door. Maybe he just picked it up and bam, bam.
I mean, she could have easily picked it up and done that to him, but he might have been thinking, well, she'll never do that to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he could have done that. I mean, there's just no telling now. It was probably, in a closet, and he had to go. You still have to make that conscious effort to go and get that gun. He didn't say she was attacking me and to defend myself, I grabbed the gun. You intentionally went and got that gun to do what you wanted to do with it. So they can quit it with all that.
Yeah, it's
remember, it's not the gun, it's the person. Well, you're right, but that person still made an intentional decision to grab that gun.
No, in this case, and in a lot of cases, it was the combination of the person and the gun.
Mm-hmm.
So if he did keep it behind the door, which would seem odd to me, but plausible, that's plausible, then he picked it up and fired at her twice, not once, but twice. There were two
and in the back,
plural.
I mean, how can you justify it? Cops aren't allowed to shoot people in the back. That's a coward. Even if you do it in a street fight with a person that you're pissed off at, hit somebody in the back. We were always taught that's low. Turn them around face to face. Don't go after them when they're trying to walk away. Cowards go after people who are trying to walk away. It's ridiculous for him to even come out and try to justify any of this because she was shot in the back, dude.
Right. Well, to the 911 operator, he said misfire. And later on, he said, "Oh, I was trying to shoot the wall behind her." So,
and what was your point of trying to shoot the wall? To intimidate the woman? Was there a big rat on the wall that you needed to shoot? I mean, you make it make sense.
even if that's true, it's not justifiable in any way,
No.
shape, or form.
Or your kids' bedrooms on the other side of that wall, because that bullet could have went right through that wall.
Right.
I mean, what do you
Especially
mean you're just
buckshot. Especially
yeah.
buckshot.
Oh,
Buckshot's
I was just
going
gonna
through
shoot the
drywall.
wall to intimidate
Yeah.
and accidentally shot her. My
Yeah.
bad. No.
All right, line 12. To that accord, it is important to note that Form 4, which was presented at the initial appearance, asserted that David Zhu reported that he had shot his wife. While trying to describe how she was shot, the 911 operator introduced the word accidental, and David Zhu agreed. Form 4. The recorded 911.
Enter the grand jury. Enter the
Yes,
grand
yeah.
jury. Okay.
Right. The recorded 911 call provides the actual exchange, which is meaningful context for the court to consider. I won't disagree. On the recording, when speaking with the dispatcher, after nearly 2 minutes of pleading, 2 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you are in an emergency situation, 2 minutes is a lifetime.
It's a long time, and you need to be over there doing life-saving efforts at that point instead of having to have some known operator calm you down. And what is up with all these hysterical people calling 911 and screaming and yelling, and they're trying to get them to settle down, give me the address, and they're just like, I don't understand that mentality. You need to be focused for a minute, even in the worst situation. Accidents happen. Someone needs to have a little bit of composure to get through the moments, and I just always find it so annoying when people call 911 and they take some 5 minutes to get information from the caller because they're just screaming in a panic, and versus, and I get it. I mean, everybody handles things differently, but I'm not that person. Panic is my last go-to. I might for a split second, but I know I got to stop and focus and handle the business at hand. I can break down later once things are over. But right now I got to get this done. And I know that's not everybody's way of thinking, but it's like we hear these 911 calls all the time, and it takes forever for the person to even start CPR. It's like, why? Because you're buying time with your fake little meltdowns. I don't know.
It can be that, and it can also be just losing your head. So,
well,
I was a firefighter EMT, and the adrenaline push that goes out when the tones go off, and you have to respond to 1050 PI on the interstate. That adrenaline can take over your brain. It absolutely can.
Well, that's where training comes in. I mean, being a mom, I've had some very, serious situations happen. And I'm telling you, panic is my I'm like that. I couldn't be in the horror film with that one chick that's screaming the whole time because I'm going to pop her. I'm like, slow down, stop it, honey. Before you get all this killed, stop it and calm down. I'm not going to try to save you if you're being that kind of person. I can't deal with it. But that's just me. My panic and thinking the worst is my last go-to. I need to focus and do what I'm being told to do, especially if I'm trying to save someone's life. You know what I mean? So the 2 full minutes, what was he doing for 2 full minutes? Like trying to explain that I shot the wall and this is all that. I don't know. It's crazy to me.
Right. Let's find out. This is what the report says. The recorded 911 call provides the actual exchange, which is meaningful context for the court to consider. On the recording, when speaking with the dispatcher, after nearly 2 minutes of pleading with the dispatcher to get his wife help and or good grief, and or for instructions that he could follow to help her, Mr. Zhu was heard saying, "Please, I shot her, please." It was a misfire. See Exhibit B. The dispatcher responded by asking, "You did it on accident?" And Mr. Zhu said yes. Throughout the rest of the 911 call, Mr. Zhu never repeats the dispatcher's word or even says the word accident. This is significant because the way that information was presented in the Form 4 and some of the police reports, it is as if law enforcement were saying that the 911 dispatcher introduced the idea of an accident to Mr. Zhu, and Mr. Zhu perpetuated that assertion using the dispatcher's word. But the recording makes it abundantly clear that Mr. Zhu's spontaneous description was in no way directed by the 911 operator. And this may actually come up in court. Like, I think we need to read that again, because the police said the 911 dispatcher insinuated to Mr. Zhu that it was an accident, and he agreed because it was convenient and it fits his defense that it was an accident. And his defense is saying, no, he didn't agree to that, that saying it was an accident was not his wording spontaneously. So let's go back up. The 911 dispatcher introduced the idea of an accident to Mr. Zhu. Okay. It is as if. All right, let's go all the way back up to line 24. This is significant because the way the information was presented in Form 4 and some of the police reports, it is as if law enforcement were saying to the 911, or that the 911 dispatcher introduced the idea of an accident to Mr. Zhu, and Mr. Zhu perpetuated that assertion. So he didn't say it was an accident. The 911 operator said, is that an accident? And he said yes, because it was convenient for him, using the dispatcher's word. But the recording makes it abundantly clear that Mr. Zhu's spontaneous description was in no way directed by the 911 operator. Yeah. So I honestly
it's
think
not,
this,
it's not a 911 operator's job to determine if it was an accident or not. They just need to get the information and get help sent, and then start to proceed. I don't know.
right. So she never should have said, was it an accident? Honestly, she never should have said that. That's like outside of her purview. That's outside of her training. She never should have said that. Oh, so was it an accident that you shot her? A 911 operator should never ask that question, ever.
No, that's a little odd.
Yeah. And I would, if this goes to trial, I would think that this is going to be a key matter. I'm just guessing. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a legal expert, but I would think that's like a key moment in this case. Again, while the case is still in early stages and discovery is not complete, this important distinction has already presented itself, reinforcing the fact that this was not an intentional homicide as previously presented by the 1A court, initial appearance court, IA, not 1A. There were no other eyewitnesses to the event. Okay, so one kid went out his bedroom window to go report it to his neighbor, and the other one stayed in her room hoping she didn't get shot too. Nor did either of Mr. Zhu's children, who heard portions of the event, assert hearing any statements manifesting that Mr. Zhu intended to shoot his wife. Okay, he didn't say, I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to kill you, and they didn't hear that. That didn't mean he didn't intend to or wasn't going to. Furthermore, in this case, there will likely be significant mitigating circumstances, such as Mr. Zhu's lack of criminal history. But I believe there is a domestic violence history between husband and wife. Mr. Zhu is 47 years old, has absolutely no criminal history. Fair enough. Mr. Zhu is an academic scholar. Yes, he is. With a plethora of accolades, including a PhD in strategy. A PhD in strategy. I want to know, can somebody educate me on what a PhD in strategy is?
Like a strategist, probably. I mean, who knows?
Like, do you win every game in chess? What, do you play chess and win every game? I want to know.
He just tried a
what
strategy that may not work.
there you go. I was just shooting at the wall behind her. I didn't mean to hit her with the buckshot. Yeah, that's not a good strategy. A PhD in strategy might do you better if you didn't shoot your wife with buckshot. An MA, Master's in Economics. Mr. Zhu has been a professor at ASU since 2009. Okay, so they came over here somewhere in the mid 2000s, where he began as an assistant professor of management. In 2015, Mr. Zhu started his role as associate professor of management and entrepreneurship, where he remained until 2021. He obtained his most recent position as professor of management and entrepreneurship. Resume is robust, blah, 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 blah. Is well revered in the academic community. Dude, you shot your wife in the back. I don't care about your academic accolades. I don't.
Yeah, none of that matters.
While Mr. Zhu understands and will comply with a strict prohibition of contact with his children and in-laws, it is important to note that they all reside in Arizona. Mr. Zhu's children are 19 and 14, and they were in the house. His 19-year-old daughter and his 14-year-old son were in the house when he shot his wife in the back. All right, I'm done with this guy. I'm not going to read anymore. I'm done.
Wow.
I'm going to go see what's in his eyes. That's what I was interested in. Like when I went to Lori Vallow Daybell's hearings last week, I wanted to see what was in her eyes. And she wouldn't look at anybody in the gallery. So I didn't get to see that. I did get to hear her pontificate on her abilities to represent herself, and that's fine. That's probably the best for everybody. But I want to see in his eyes. I want to look and see what's in his eyes. I guess I'm just a weirdo. Am I a weirdo for that?
No, I mean, you want to see if they're going to play the crazy card. You know what I mean? Because not everybody's insane. Just because you're a person with anger control issues and you engage in domestic violence doesn't make you a crazy person. It makes you a hothead who needs to take some moment and breathe, you know, or go get some help for your anger management. Doesn't make you crazy, you know. And so it's not everybody can get away with that insanity defense for a reason, because people, you know, if you are prone to just snap, you shouldn't have guns in your house. And you probably shouldn't engage in domestic violence. You should probably proactively be trying to prevent that kind of thing. So, yeah, just to go to see if he looks, you know, to get that feel for him, you know, and that eye contact is sometimes what you need, you know.
Yeah. And if you are in that situation where you have somebody in your life that's like that is constantly like pushing you, get help.
Yeah.
Walk out.
Please. And if you feel like you have nowhere that you can turn to, there's always something. You know, families are so willing to help a lot of times, and people just don't want to tell their families sometimes. But you gotta, you know, you got to get over that at some point and do what's best for you, the children, everybody involved. You know, I mean, it's not like it was back in the 60s, 70s, where it's just not talked about, put under the rug. It's just acceptable behavior. It's not acceptable. And there's no justification for it at all. And I promise you, ladies, if you got a man who's going to come at you once and tells you he's sorry, it'll never happen again, believe me, it's going to happen again. Yeah. Let that red flag be your biggest warning sign that you need to get out while you still can, before it turns to a point where you can't, you know.
Yep. You don't need somebody shooting you in the back with a shotgun with buckshot.
Lord, no. There's one reason I would never allow one in my home. I was afraid I'd be the one to use it. Not like I'm gonna just go off and like I'm gonna be, I mean, like self-defense wise. I didn't want that, you know. I didn't want that. Like, nope, don't even bring one into my house. That, nuh-uh.
Agreed. All right. Well, I'm going to end this. I'm going to go down tomorrow morning and see if I can look in his eyes and figure out if he's a killer. He has killed his wife in front of his kids. Well, they were in the house. And then I'm going to pick up some documents on Lori Vallow Daybell, and we're going to take a look at some court documents from her cases.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Let us know when you get back and get everything set up, because we can definitely jump into a live and talk about it. There's some things about the Koberger case I've been going over and making notes that I want to talk about, but I didn't go live today. I had things going on here at home today that I had to get done. So I may do one tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. I've got an appointment in the morning.
I would love to hear your thoughts on Koberger. Would love to hear those.
Yeah, I want to go over, there's a particular hearing I kind of want to review, and I've been reviewing it the last couple of days. I mean, I watched it when it happened, but I've watched it again and made some notes on it and just some other interesting things to talk about, but we'll have to save it for a live for sure.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much for jumping in here with me.
Oh, thanks for doing this. We appreciate it. And let us know when you get back tomorrow.
Absolutely. Catch y'all later. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night.